Hi, this is Matlata James, and you're watching Joburg Today.
A City on a Hill. Tell us a bit about this book.
This is a book that is quite different. It's a visual book that has come out of a research project that I started at around 2013. That's really trying to make knowledge outputs out of research to be as engaging as possible, at a human level at least. So it grapples with the relationship between the work that we're seeing happening in our old mine dumps now. They're evolving, they're being reprocessed and things like that. And some of the activities that we see with zamazamas and people that are reclaiming some of the stuff that's coming out of the mine dumps and really just making a living out of that. But what has motivated the project is asking the relationship between that sort of work that we're seeing being done by men on the mine dumps, and how a city like Joburg has effectively come about, where over 100 years ago, the same sort of thing happened, where someone went in the ground and they were digging and came across gold, and here we are today. So it's drawing a relationship between the historical sort of elements or dimensions of the city, and how explores ideas of how history influences us today, and continues to shape even our future as we move along the lifeline of the city.
Why then would it be important for the city, the people of the city of Joburg, to read this book?
I think it's important because we often see certain things in the city and then we assume we know what they are or what's going on. And for me, that's one of the things that drew me in. When I saw people working on the mine dumps, it's quite easy to think, okay, they're just criminals, or they can be pigeonholed into whatever kind of box that I can create with my mind. But the minute you engage with things like that, you start to see, actually, I'm also part of this story. I think people need to actually look at the book and read the book, because in it you will see yourself as an important role player in terms of the evolution of the story of Joburg, just by you being here as well, but just at a human level as well. I think it teaches us something about how we can connect better by avoiding some of the stereotypes that that become fences anyway, that I think end up having negative repercussions in terms of us building a city that is inclusive, that is thriving on many levels, and just even nation building at large. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned there's more of a visual aspect to the book. Why did you decide to then focus on the visual part of it?
It's not that I've decided to include a visual element into a book that perhaps was textual. The book is visual. And that is significant because, I'm trying to make knowledge and, knowledge outputs out of things like research and how we understand our city and city planning and all of that be as accessible as possible. I think as researchers and people that study these sort of things, we do amazing work and go to great lengths to really uncover and understand what really makes a city like Johannesburg work. But what has bothered me, which has been part of why the book exists in the first place, is the fact that all that work remains in, either a library or city planning processes, or gets hidden in some other academic process, while, it's critical information that all of us need to be knowing, just so that we're a bit more conscious of where we are, not just in space, but in time as well. So that we can hopefully make better decisions with that kind of awareness of our context, because I don't think many of us know Johannesburg like we think we do, or I might just know it from my, the space that I occupy. But it's a space, obviously, that is vibrant and full of hope, and of course, there's many challenges and so on. But the book is visual because it's trying to make as accessible as possible some of those knowledge outputs that would come from the typical research process. And in so doing, I'm just thinking now, it also transcends, many disciplines. Social studies, urban studies, urban governance issues as well are touched on, spirituality and so on. Yeah.
So now what is the message, the important message you wanted to convey then through this book?
Yeah, I think the important message is that Johannesburg is not what you think it is, and the more you immerse yourself in it and you are present in it, the more you actually discover there is hope even in spaces where you think they are dead. Like for instance, these mine dumps that are subject in the book, a lot of us think they are just dead kind of leftover spaces. There's no life in them. But when you go in there, and you'll see in the book as well, you discover there's a lot of life actually happening. And I don't just mean life, theoretically, it's human life. It's people that are connected to families and have dreams and hopes and fears, and they are here trying to find their place in an environment that is growing quite rapidly and also is undergoing, that kind of growth driven by global forces. And so when you look at things sometimes from a narrow perspective, you don't realize how what you are seeing sits within like a larger kind of context. And so I think that's quite important to just highlight in terms of the book and the life of the book, I guess.
100%. Thank you so much for your time, Potsiso.
You're welcome. Cool. Thank you for the opportunity.